With the rise of new technologies, ideas about genetically modifying humans have come into play in order for us to reach our full potential and explore the post-human realm. Throughout this video essay, I will be explaining the difference between a transhumanist and a bioconservative and how various ethicists support each side in order to come to a conclusion as to which stance I believe is right. To start off, it is important to understand what a transhumanist is and what values they hold. Transhumanists believe that we should use technology to alter the genes of people before they are born in order to provide possible treatments for disease or physical enhancements. Transhumanists believe that humans have a moral obligation to use technology to overcome biologically imposed limitations. One of the main goals of transhumanists is to be able to explore the post-human world. They believe that it is our moral obligation to reach our potential, and right now, we are not there. In essence, transhumanists believe that we should use technology to alter one's genes in order to provide a treatment or an enhancement. The opposing view of transhumanists is that of bioconservatives. They see things through morality and through moral limits. They believe that humans should not alter someone's DNA because it is immoral, even though we may have the technology to do so. An important factor to consider when thinking about transhumanism is that by altering someone's DNA before they are born, whoever is making that decision to either provide a treatment or enhancement is doing it on your behalf but without your consent, so to speak. This process occurs before someone is born, and the decisions about what to possibly treat or enhance is left entirely to the parents and doctors prior to your arrival. The decisions they make could and most likely will alter the course of your life. But before we get into the details, it is important to distinguish the differences between treatments and enhancements. Treatments are defined as interventions used to bring an individual back within the norm. For example, for someone with any sort of illness or disease, they would need to be treated because their body and or mind is not functioning normally and has some other underlying issue preventing it from doing so. In this case, that person would require a treatment. Contrastly, enhancements are interventions which bring an individual beyond the norm. For example, if someone wishes to be taller or smarter or have different colored hair, these would be examples of enhancements because they don't bring you to the norm, rather they allow you to make modifications to your body and mind that could possibly push you even further away from the norm. I think the treatment and enhancement distinction is a good one as it allows us to categorize what things should be allowed and what things shouldn't be allowed. Some would say, like bioconservatives, that providing treatments with germline engineering could be beneficial to society, but enhancements would not. The technology/process used to alter one's genes is called germline engineering. This is a process that works in coherence with pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, which first is able to locate and identify any possible disease that can be traced down to a single gene. Then the germline enhancements allow us to customize the genetic potential of blastocysts, which ultimately lead to alteration of that gene in order to prevent or reduce the chances of a specific disease from occurring. As we now know, transhumanists argue that the use of technology should be permitted in order to alter one's genes. But why? Throughout the class, we looked and read the works of various ethicists. However, there are a couple in particular who are in fact transhumanists and have their own reasons as to why they think it should be permissible. For example, Bostrom argues in support of transhumanism because of Millian utilitarianism, which states that pleasure and freedom from pain are the only things that are desirable as ends, and that everything that is desirable at all is so either for the pleasure inherent in it or as means to the promotion of pleasure and the prevention of pain. Mill focuses on the distinction between higher and lower pleasures. Higher pleasures are defined as pleasures that are derived from distinctly human capacities, whereas lower pleasures are sensual pleasures we share with non-human animals. Because we have this distinction between higher and lower pleasures, transhumanists argue that if we have the technology to allow ourselves to experience greater and more varied higher pleasures, then we should. Bostrom argues that because our moral obligations are to enhance our pleasure and minimize our pain, the use of genetic enhancements will allow us to do just that. Another argument in support of transhumanism comes from Person and Savulescu. They base their argument on the fact that humans now have at their disposal technology so powerful that it could bring about the destruction of the whole planet if misused, so it is imperative that we pursue moral bioenhancements. This claim was made out of fear that our planet and the capability of humans to make their own decisions. They claim that traditional uses of moral enhancement like education will no longer suffice as the risks are just too big and there are too many of us where we can ensure everyone is executing moral and sound judgment all the time. By using moral bioenhancement, they claim that we could be more sure that technology that has been developed out of protection will not be misused to destroy planet Earth. Bostrom, Persson, and Savulescu support each of their arguments in different ways, but ultimately show the various problems transhumanism can solve by limiting inequality and providing assurance that our planet will not be destroyed by mankind. The difference between enhancements and treatments and what is permissible or not is one of controversial opinions. However, there are various types of enhancements that transhumanists are in support of that don't just alter one's physical appearance. To start off, Walter Glannon proposed the idea of memory enhancement. He argues that memory enhancements could benefit individuals by enabling them to access a broader base of factual and conceptual information, as well as to process this information more effectively in decision-making and other cognitive tasks. It could promote greater opportunity for individuals to have better education and more lucrative employment. This in turn could benefit society as a whole by creating a more informed population with a higher standard of living. Another genetic enhancement that adheres more to improving one's physical appearance rather than intellectual intelligence is stature. There is evidence that men who are taller, earn more money, wield greater social influence, and are viewed as more sexually attractive. Transhumanists argue that parents want what's best for their kids and want them to grow up and be successful, and with the use of germline engineering to create kids who are guaranteed to be tall might help ensure that they will be successful in the long run. If parents want what's best for their kids and want to help ensure their success, then why would they not engage in something that could possibly help that dream come true? Genetic enhancements have the capabilities to alter all parts of us, from our susceptibility to disease, our intelligence, and our physical appearance. But the goal of these enhancements is to help society as a whole reach our full potential. Furthermore, another enhancement that has been discussed is moral enhancement. This is a technological intervention that would help us behave as we should. For example, there are times when we behave worse than we think we should, or in situations where we know what the right thing to do is, but we have incentives to do the wrong thing. Moral enhancement would help us make sure that we are making the right decisions at all time, even when our judgment gets clouded with distracting factors. These enhancements are what transhumanists say would benefit society. However, bioconservatives have some concerns. Some opposing views to the use of technology include the idea that those humans that are normal, meaning they have no genetic enhancements, could get hurt and lose self-respect, as they will see themselves as less compared to the genetically modified people. This idea was explored as a counter-argument to transhumanism in the reading Human Genetic Enhancements. It was brought about because if enhancements become available, not everyone on this planet is going to have access to getting those enhancements, and those who may not get them due to things such as accessibility or funding could see themselves as less. This inequality could also occur due to the possible pricing of these technologies. Altering someone's genes most likely doesn't come at a cheap cost, and not all families have extra funds they are willing and able to spend. Due to these reasons, bioconservatives would say that enhancements are impermissible as they have a lot of possible negative externalities that may contribute to inequality amongst mankind. Another concern for bioconservatives that was mentioned in the reading, Human Genetic Enhancements, is that humans will lose the values that make us humans. The ability to have meaningful relationships will be changed, as now no one will be an original being. With the possibility of having enhanced intelligence, brain chemistry would not be the same, allowing for changes in personality and overall human emotion and understanding. The things and values that make us as humans would be compromised, which would be impermissible for bioconservatives. In addition, these technologies are irreversible and would affect all generations to come. There was a lack of predictability for long-term consequences and effects, and these technologies may cause issues for reproduction of future generations. With a lack of confirmation regarding long-term effects in future generations, bioconservatives are wary about using technology out of fear. Looking in a different direction, however, Sandel, another bioconservative, has a different reason as to why these technologies may be bad by looking at the lessons it can deprive us from. Sandel argues against transhumanism and as a bioconservative because he sees parenthood as a school for humility. By that he means parents love and care deeply about their children, but cannot choose what they want, which teaches them to be open to the unvetted. This openness, he argues, is worth affirming because it invites us all to be open to the unexpected, to live with dissonance, and to rein in the impulse of control. By giving parents the opportunity to design their child, if you will, they will be losing these important values and lessons, which Sandel would say is wrong. Due to the possibility of heightened inequality, lack of predictability for long-term effects for future generations, and possible loss of human values, bioconservatives find these technologies to be impermissible. After looking at the relationship between bioconservatives and transhumanists, the distinctions between enhancements and treatments, and each side's views on the matter, I had a lot of information to process, but after solidifying and condensing my thoughts, I came to my own personal decision that ultimately coincides more with bioconservatives. I think the possibility of using technology to help with treatments could be very useful. However, as mentioned before, there is still just so much unknown about the long-term effects of doing this and possibilities about what could happen in future generations. One of the key arguments for transhumanists is that they believe that we have not reached our full potential as humans. However, I disagree with that. I think that we are put on the planet the way that God intended, and I think it is wrong for us to have the power and control over what the future generations could look like. The possibility of parents choosing things that are wrong for their kids is so high that I think it is better if we just don't have that type of power. I think transhumanism and germline engineering should focus more on treatments compared to enhancements. I think enhancements improve someone's quality of life, but there are a lot of other things that can be done once someone is born to improve their quality of life. I think the difference between the two does help us decide what should be permissible and not, and I think that treatments are the permissible action, whereas enhancements are not. However, if treatments become permissible, it won't be long before enhancements become permissible as well, and that is a door I would feel much more comfortable keeping closed. These, however, are just my views, and throughout this essay, we have only explored the views of a couple other ethicists. So I encourage all of you to think about your stance on transhumanism and whether or not you agree with germline engineering and would want that type of control and power in the future. Thank you.